Welcome back to My Hero Academia Anime Review, episode number 69. Yep, 69, which, okay, that's interesting. I know in just a few episodes, basically, I reached 75 for this interview series. Who knows? I might reach 100 before the end of the year. It's actually a pretty good possibility. Alright, now in the case of this particular video, I'm discussing pretty much the newest episode of the anime, which is Operation New Improv Moves. And the 311th chapter of manga. Yes, 311. Which you're probably thinking, really? 311? Huh, that's interesting. Yep, 311. Now, this new episode, Operation Improv Moves, adapts chapters 198 and 199. Which, from a perspective, from a viewer perspective, seeing that, like, wait, they're pretty much almost on the 100th chapters for the series? Like, it's about time. They've been stuck in that since, like, season 3. And now, with this episode, they're kind of in the way closing it out. We'll finally get to the stuff that was pretty much... We're pretty much into the area, basically, already, of... Well, how should I put this? I mean, we're already deep into basically stuff that was coming out, like, roughly a couple years ago. Yeah, that's something interesting, though, about the two chapters were adapted for this episode. Chapters 198, 199. Like, these chapters came out, what was it, about 2 years ago? No, it was about 3 years ago. Like, damn. Yeah, almost 3 years ago, we're finally getting to this. Which, that's fine. Not really a big issue with that. So, what happens this one? We start out basically the second match. Well, before we get the second match, Eraserhead basically is talking to Froppy's team and figuring what they went wrong. Red Riot, basically, well, they actually do show it in the anime because in the manga, they don't show us all of him when he removed his little face guard thing he wears in the series. In the anime, they actually see him remove it because the manga is already off his face and it looked like he moved it on panel. In the anime, they actually added a little detail in, which kudos for them for doing that. And they basically explain what went wrong, even though they did win the match, but they lost like half the team. Now, in the case of what they said here, it's most the same except for what Froppy said. Well, basically, Eraserhead's advice to her, per se. It's most of the same except that they actually did change what he said, the score in the English dub. Red Riot pointed out, though, that he basically should have, like, whole lot charging the anime, whatever. In the case of Anti-Voice, for him, it was not giving specific instructions to his friends. For Froppy, Diki basically it's like, yeah, he did a good job for you ladies, even though he probably messed up. Froppy pointed out, though, because she made mistakes, she admitted into it. And Shuzo points out, though, that the little scarf he wears, based on the one that Eraserhead uses. Eraserhead at this point out, though, he says he has some friction. Now, essentially pointing out he has some friction that he couldn't use to full potential. He used for usage. And Razor points out that it took him 6 years to master this damn thing. So, basically, his advice to them, Red Riot, basically keep it up. Anti-Voice, what you said, basically was spot on with your problem. So, and mostly put what he says the first three is complete accurate, per se. Frappe, they actually changed the dialogue what he said. Where he said in the manga, it's like she knew about her mistake and she improved on it. In the anime, it's like, don't focus on basically the mistake, instead of trying to basically improve from the mistake. He doesn't say anything to Shuzo, per se, and then Shuzo basically is talked to by the Phantom Thief, voiced by the awesome Tendo. Yep. Now, in the case of the second match, it's mostly Momo, Invisible Girl, Aoi Twinkle, and Tomoko and Tomokohi. I think it. Let's see. Uh, it is. Yeah, Fubagagi. And they're going up against Battle Fist, who's voiced by Jade Saxton. This is an absolute great job. It's actually a good big conversation with her. Now, there's also Val Dark. Well, they actually changed his name in the dub. Yeah, they say his code name is Van Dark in the anime because his original translation in the manga, it's Van Dark. Well, Van Black. They changed it because apparently there was some legal issues, so that was the reason for the name change. And he is voiced by Howard Wang. And you also have Comic Man. There's the guy's name. He's with Alex May. And we also have Mushroom Girl. Well, they go so much. I basically refer to her as Mushroom Girl because, well, she shoots out mushrooms. And she is voiced by Amanda Gish. Yep. Now, of course, Val King himself basically chastises his students. Basically, what happened, points out the beast basically is responsible for why they actually failed in their last match. Yep. Oh yeah, before the action match starts, we have a strategy with all the teams, which this is great. The fact they actually do this. And of course, Deku, is the obvious strategist for his team because he's good at strategizing because, well, he's a genius at it. I'm surprised they eventually don't call him the strategy hero because of how much he strategizes. Yeah, and the stuff he strategizes, he's actually pretty good at. Yep. So then we have, before the start of the match, we have Team A, Team B just walking, and we have Momo talking to Battle Fist. And Battle Fist asking her why she's participating in the pageant in the school festival. And she pointed out, though, she wasn't told about the particular thing by Razorhead. And she was busy with band, so she didn't get a chance to. And of course, there's a bit of flashback to their time working with the Dragon Hero, which is great, the fact they threw this in. And they're not the only ones, basically a little bit of flashback. Tamakori, basically, he gets a bit of flashback too. Oh yeah, he does. Tokiomi. Yeah, they get like a bit of flashback for him, basically for his time when he was working for Hawks. Yeah, now apparently this guy who is, well, Van Dark, where it's like they think these two get along. Now, Belfast and Momo, they get along great. I think these two are pretty good rivals per se, but in terms of beauty, who's probably more hotter, who's probably win a beauty pageant? If Momo entered, she probably would have won, possibly, but who knows? Yeah, because, well, she's into that stuff. Yeah, and surprisingly, there's no interaction with, well, I mean, yeah, there's interaction between Momo and Belfast and Tokiomi and Van Dark, but the other two, no, not really. Yeah, you're probably thinking, really? Yeah, with the exception of Momo, it seems like a lot of the people part of this team are just, how should I put this? They are just, yeah, for this one, it just, Yeah, the other two, well, yeah, Invisible Girl and, oh yeah, the Man Who Twinkles. Yeah. So they start up their match, and of course, well, Van Dark is very creepy, and of course, Tokyomi basically sends out his dark shadow. They go fight him. He fights him pretty quickly too, though his dark shadow ends up being possessed and starts attacking the team. But lucky enough, Invisible Girl uses her ability to shine a big light. Dark shadow free it, and he also feels that he learned something new when he's looking for working for Hawks. Excuse me. So they show us a couple times working with Hawks during the original internship and of course the work study program. The first time he didn't learn anything, nothing, and in the case second time he did. Now the first time he worked with him, he basically just had him just chase him around, and of course something about the USJ incident, which he was not particularly very happy with. So, second time, basically, he flew around the city for a bit. It's great though he's improving his short range abilities, but he also said don't give up. Basically, what you're good at. Okay, and he learned to move this Dark Angel move, which allows him to basically tuck part of his dark under his cloak and using the hands basically allow him to fly, which is great. And then of course, well, he shows us off. And of course, Van Dark tricks him with the thing that he was after Tokyomi. Nope, he's after the twinkling hero, grabs him by his cape. Yes, his cape. And just drags him away. But look up, Tokyomi basically is able to save him. And the episode ends quite weirdly, where, like, despite the fact they shot all this light in the area, apparently a bunch of mushrooms show up. Yeah, because Mushroom Girl basically have been spraying the whole area with their seeds, filling up all the mushrooms. Basically next week episode. Gotta say, pretty good episode. And we're gonna continue this probably for next week. Yeah, this is probably unlike the first match where it took up just like one episode. This one took up 2 episodes per se. Well, yeah, 2 episodes again. Yeah, I think that in the case when it gets to Bakudo, his will take up 1 episode because in the manga, when it gets to his match, it's only one chapter. Yeah, 1 freaking chapter. Though his is actually the pendulum match of this particular thing. Yep. Guys, still, great episode. Can't wait for next week. Now, for finish out the manga, here we go. We see Endeavor battling a bunch of villains who are using nail guns. Yep, nail guns. And he fights them, and then of course we see him still work with Best Genius and Hawks, trying to figure out what to do with the actual, escape villains. And of course, there's also protesters. Yes, protesters. And of course, they're protesting what happened with Todoroki. So, they leave. This I've been throwing, and of course, people throw garbage at them. Deku, of course, basically is fighting without sleep, which is kind of a bad thing. So they're basically using him as bait to lure out all for one. Of course, they chat for quite some time, and of course, this rating. And of course, we cut to All Might. He's reminiscing about Night Eye, and he's basically where Deku's saying disappeared. And then all of a sudden, a grenade is thrown out of the car, and then Deku basically gets a laser basically fired at him, and he says, "Yo, boy in green, you're coming with me." He's like, "Someone's here for me. Just any old villain here," and it's just some woman who says, "Come quietly, and you get to keep your limbs." I hired guns and buy all for one, and that's where the thing ends. Interesting. I mean, it kind of looks like, appearance-wise, it kind of looks like All Might's mentor, but we won't find out until next week. Yep. But great chapter, and great we get to progress this actual arc. This arc a bit, and has a very interesting cliffhanger. I'll give this chapter roughly a 10 out of 10 because it has a very interesting cliffhanger. Okay? So yeah, that's it for Cyclo Review. Stay tuned for next reviews will be One Piece and Boruto. And yes, I'm going to do this today. Hopefully. Is it wrong to Girls Dungeon OVA? Yep. See you next video. Bye.